If you're in need for an arcade style boxing game, then the Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions might be a game you want to check out. We have a full review of this game for you right now. Now, be honest, I love the Rocky movies. I love the Creed movies. I got a soft spot for them. I don't know how many times I went back when I was younger and I would re-watch the Rocky movies and Rocky versus Ivan Drago or Clubber Lang and all of that. Hulk Hogan was in the movie as Thunder Lips. And I've been trying to find a game right now that is something that I could get my hands on really quick, jump into, do a little button mashing, and jump out. And for me, the Big Rumble Boxing is doing just that. In the game, you're gonna have a selection of 20 characters to be able to choose from some of your favorite that you know, like Rocky, Creed, Apollo Creed, Clubber Lang, Ivan Drago. They're all in there, as well as some new ones. You're gonna start off the whole game by having 10 characters unlocked, and what's really good is that you are getting some of your favorites unlocked right at the beginning. And not only that, but they have alternative attires that you can select by unlocking by completing the entire missions for each character. Now with the boxing game, let's talk about the first thing on the list. It's going to be gameplay. I found the gameplay mechanics, punching mechanics in the game to be fairly solid. It's an arcade style boxing game. But you have the options to pull off supers. You've got the move list that's set up in the pause menu for you to actually go and reference. And pulling off combos is fairly easy. The AI difficulty in it though does kind of fluctuate, but what is actually a positive here is that you're not just button mashing as every single boxer in the game. There is actually a difference between how each of them kind of plays, from ones that are a lot lighter, faster, with their combos, with their hits, some that are much more balanced, and then you have some boxers, some characters that are very, very powerful, and you kind of have to adjust your footing, your speed, and the way you're going to block and when you're going to block as you go through and take on each of them. So there is going to be some level of strategy here, and the gameplay difficulty levels do actually vary, and it can actually get quite challenging if you are going from rookie to pro. You're going to find that it is going to go up a notch. The one thing that was kind of a negative for me when it comes to the gameplay mechanics was actually going to be just some of the camera work. As I was kind of dodging back and then I would get hit, oftentimes I found that my character, and a lot of it I was playing as Rocky because come on, but I would find that I would actually get turned around a lot, and then being able to get readjusted to be facing my opponent took a little bit too long to kind of reset, and it caused me to not be able to block properly and get hit even more. Now, Matt's also I could just be bad at games. That could be the biggest problem here. But I did find some of the camera work to be a little bit wonky, and I was finding that I needed to really move a lot in the game in order to stick and move. See, that's a boxing reference for you. Next up, let's talk about graphics in this game. Now we're dealing with an arcade boxer here. I found that the graphics were actually pretty decent. I thought it was very vibrant and colorful for when you are actually going to be playing your matches. You got the crowd in there in the background for some of the stadiums. You can play in like alleyways. What's kind of funny though is that you are actually, if you wanted to play like in a back alley, you were actually going to be just in your full like boxing gear. So it was kind of silly in that way, which was fine with me. Character models look pretty accurate. Their facial sculptings and animations are good. And I think they did a pretty good job when they actually want to make them as accurate as possible and keep that arcadey feel to it too. Let's talk about audio for a second, because I think that they do a good job when it comes to, one, the soundtrack in this game is awesome. We have actually some of the licensed music from Rocky. So when you are going through some of like the training moments and montages there, you got the Rocky music playing in the background. So it takes you back, it makes you feel all pumped up and jazzed up. But the regular soundtrack that's in the game, I think they do a good job keeping it upbeat, a little bit of hip hop there, it's poppy. It's good, and it flows with the game very well. We do have the actual story mode that's built in there to unlock all these characters as you go through, like Rocky's story. You're gonna have certain matchups in there that are gonna be playing to his actual story narrative that goes through the movies. And this is kind of going through almost a visual novel because it's done over text and you don't have cutscenes in there at all, which I thought was a little bit of a downside. The one thing that I thought was almost silly on the audio front was that you weren't getting any real dialogue between the characters. A lot of it, the majority of it, you get, and it started to get kind of funny to me because you get like Rocky and Creed going back and forth, and you get a lot of Rocky just literally grunting, where he's just going, So it made it lighthearted enough, and it wasn't taking itself too seriously, but I wish that they would have added a little bit more actual dialogue in the game as best they could. Now, I mentioned for a second there the actual progression, the story. So being able to unlock all 20 characters, you need to go through each individual's characters kind of story mode and story arc where they go back and forth. They'll take up different boxers and go through different matches. And by the time you get to the end of it, you'll be able to unlock the next star, some of the unlockables and everything in there. It's not going to take too long. It might take you an hour. It depends if you're able to take down all of these, because some matchups are going to be harder than others, and some get really, really tight and actually get you kind of into the game, because I had moments where I was fighting Ivan Drago and I was getting knocked down at the count of 7 and 8, and I'm furiously tapping X on my controller to get up. And then I had some moments where I was actually just completely knocked out, lost really quick, and I had to replay those games. The good thing though is that even if you lose and you want to back out of it, as soon as you go back into your story part and in that sequence, you're actually going to come right back into where you left off. So it doesn't restart the whole thing. Some notable mentions that I do really like is actually going to be the supers. As you're going to be hitting those blows, you're actually going to be building up your meter and your super meter. It's not too hard to actually get it activated and build it up a couple of times during an entire match. I almost wish it was a little bit harder to get it done, because I felt like I was able to pull them off 3 to 4 times throughout, 3 or 4 rounds. And I wish that they would actually change the animations and give you a little bit more options when it came to the different animations for kind of your knockout blows. The good thing though, that with using the supers, it is require a little bit of skill, and you got to be able to think about when you want to time those out, because in some cases, you're going to want to, you might pull those off at the beginning and your opponent has a full health bar and it's going to take them down about halfway. They may block your super and they might actually come back with their own right after. So you want to make sure that you are going to time it out. And I did like that aspect of it. The only thing that I wish that they would actually include, even at a very base rudimentary level, would be a character customization. I wish that I could actually pull off my own boxer, just put him in some colorful trunks, give him a wacky hairstyle, and being able to put my own character through a very basic story mission and build them up that way. That would be my one thing that I wish we had in the next game. Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions is across majority or all platforms, so you're going to be able to pick it up on PC, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and over on the Nintendo Switch. For Matt here, I was playing it over on my Xbox, had a really good time, I enjoyed it. If you guys are looking for an arcade style boxing game that's fun, pick up, go through and play as Rocky or Clubber Lang, I think you're going to have a really good time. You can grab a buddy and sit on the couch and box against each other playing as Creed versus Rocky, and that's enough fun for me. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions? Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and as always, thank you all for assembling with us. See ya!